son was in a crash and has died.
What?
He wasn't wearing his seatbelt and was ejected from the vehicle.
No. No.
Mom, is everything okay? Come on, answer.
Don't risk it. Click it or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA.
May is Maytag month, the hardest working month of the year, when you can save on hard-working Maytag performance. Like laundry pairs that make clothes think twice before getting dirty again. Refrigerators that make cold your new favorite.
Everybody got coffee. Is it time?
7.
It's
okay?
time.
Holy
It
moly.
is.
All right.
You believe that?
I barely made it, I guess.
It's a nice term again.
Who's that? John, you ready for us? You good? Okay, just wanted to make sure. Hi, welcome everybody to the Kansas City School District Board of Education meeting. Appreciate everyone coming. May 16th, 2022. We'll get this thing started. So let's go ahead and have a roll call, please.
Mr. Carmine?
Yes.
Mr. Dick?
Yes.
Mr. Hensel?
Yes.
Mrs. Heidinger?
Yes.
Mr. Ludley?
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Flag is over to your right, our left. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item number 3 here, not 13, we're not there yet. Approval and correction of the minutes from the regular meeting on April 25th, 2022. Could I have a motion, please?
And
Dick first, I think there, okay. A second?
Hensel.
Hensel, thank you, guys. Any discussion? Okay, let's go ahead and have a vote.
Mr. Dick?
Yes.
Mr. Hensel?
Yes.
Mrs. Heidinger?
Yes.
Mr. Ludley?
Yes.
Mr. Carmine?
Yes. Okay, item 4, Principal, Supervisor, Faculty Report, Student Showcase. Did we have anyone say that?
No, we're going to end
for
up
that?
doing a little presentation for a few of the folks that
Okay.
recently retired or going to be retiring.
Okay, great. Okay, item 5 was public participation. Was there anybody over there? There wasn't when I came in. Justin, could you check? Are we good to go? All right. Okay, thank you. And item 6, reports of the treasurer. Approve the following for April 30th, 2022 reports: cash position, check register, receipt ledger, investment report, and journal entries. Everybody get a chance to take a look at those. Could I have a motion, please?
Ledley.
Ledley, thank you. And a second?
Heidinger.
Okay, any discussion?
No, I'm going to
Anything
do a
you
little
wanna highlight?
presentation
Okay, great.
once we take the vote.
Okay, let's go ahead and have a vote then, please.
Mr. Hensel?
Yes.
Mrs. Heidinger?
Yes.
Mr. Ludley?
Yes.
Mr. Carmine?
Yes.
Mr. Dick?
Yes.
Okay.
Floor is yours, Jill.
Okie dokie. Let's do that. I don't know if you can blow that up or not.
Yeah, it is.
Even this page right here.
That's the first page. There you go.
Would you guys like to have a copy? Would you like to have a copy? Or you all right? Okay. Okay, good. All
And
right.
I'll try to move it and
Sure.
so they can sort of see the numbers.
All right. If you want to go into the 2022 column. There. And go, let's just go right to the chase of it all. Let's go down to the bottom. I'm going to show you the bottom. Here's the bottom line. $9.8 million. Last year we were at $7.8 million. So you're going to ask, well, how did that happen, right? So part of the reason why our cashier became a little bit more is because A, we did apply a lot of ESSER monies to defer from general fund into federal funds. So that really did help the bottom line when it came right down to it. But I'm going to give you kind of the abridged version of my highlights when it comes to the 5-year. So Ryan, if you go back up to the top, please. Okay. So line 1.03, which is going to be this line item, that is our income tax number. I think that's right. Make sure I'm right. I don't So, here we are, the income tax number, 2.5 million. It went up a little over 11% in our collections. I asked if that was something that was kind of weird for us, if it wasn't weird for us, and the consulting business that we work with and their other clients, they said they had other clients that went up anywhere from 5 to 30%. So we got right in that middle range, and they felt like this wasn't just a one-time thing, that we could see a little bit of growth, maybe not a lot, but maybe a little bit of growth come July. So that's really good news for us. Last year we collected 2.2 million, this year it's 2.5, so that's wonderful for us. The other part is in our unrestricted line, which is our foundation line, $11.1 million. Last year we collected 10.9, and again, there's that funding shift that we have going on. This is the new year that we shifted some funds on that. What that means is that these two combined, this is still part of your general fund, but it's become more restricted. So we've got $500 and some thousand that we get in for student wellness. That used to be its own separate fund, the 467 fund, but now they brought it back to the general fund. We get about $300 some thousand that we have to spend on our DPIA, disadvantaged pupil kiddos in the district. We also have $44,000 that we have to spend on our career tech. 75% of those funds have to be towards supplies, equipment, things of that nature. The other 25% we can put towards salaries. And then we have an English learners, and that's about $8,000 that we spend. So that, every category I just talked about makes up that number right there. So like I said, the reason why the revenues are a little bit higher on that is because that $500,000 that we used to get in a separate 400 fund has now come back to the general fund. So that's why you're seeing a little bit of an increase as well. Line 1.06, which would be this line right here, 512,000. That's made up of a combination of different things. That includes Medicaid reimbursement. So any kids that are on some kind of an IEP, we're getting additional monies for them because it's based off of services that we provide, OT, PT, adaptive speech, things of that nature. Those are all billable services. So you're going to see monies coming in from that. We usually collect each month on that as well. We did have an audit for FY20, and our final true-up that we're going to get back from that is about $30,000. I'm hoping to see that before the end of June of this year. We also get GROTC reimbursements on that. So our two guys that we have employed for our GROTC, we get the money in from the federal government to pay for them. We also get regular and special ed students into that funnel of money as well. And we also we had E-rate reimbursement, which was about $183,000 this year. So that's what that line is composed of. Brian, if you take it down to expenses now. Yeah, right here. Okay. Then that $191,000, that was the E-rate reimbursement. That was part of that. Anyway, the salary line, 3.01, we had an increase in our negotiated agreements of 2.25%, so that's included in on that. Next year it'll be 2.5%, so that will also be included in the future forecast for that. Supplementals, just to kind of give you an idea of that 11.6 million that we're spending on salaries. Supplementals cost about $350,000. So of that 11.6, you can designate about $350,000 in supplementals. Fringe benefits, we did not take an increase in our medical because we joined another consortium. So we wanted to see how we were doing history-wise for the next 18 months. So we are taking an 11.3% increase on medical insurance. If you split that in half, you're really under the norm of the 5% that it would have been, 5.5%. So we would have been under the average norm of 7% that most everybody else was taking. But we took it all in one lump sum because, like I said, we joined a consortium. We wanted to see how we were going to do for the next 18 months. From here on out, you're going to see a more realistic number every July because we'll have a renewal by April. We'll know what that percentage is based off of claims. The other part of the 5.5 million of the benefits. We also pay about $325,000 out to our employees for our HSAs. So that just gives you a little bit of an idea of that 5.5. That is all inclusive of $325,000 that we pay out for HSA accounts. Then we have the supply line, and that supply line is $613,000. That supply line also includes a $56,000 quote for a math print digital for grades 6 through 8, so that's inclusive there as well. Let's go down to the 6.01 line item. This is the most important line item, I think, of the whole forecast. Here, I'll show you. Go back up a little bit. Keep going. Keep going. You might have to, yeah, go over here. I can't see.
The 6.0.
Yep.
Okay, so
That
blue.
blue. This number shows right here if we're deficit spending. That means, are we dipping into our reserves from previous year, and are we spending more than what we're taking in? Well, we've got a healthy line right there, 1.1 million, right? Again, that's because of the things that we've done to help us with that. But as you go along, you're seeing by 2024, we're dipping into that. Is that going to happen? I don't know. Is it going to happen to that amount? I don't know. They're all guesstimates at this point. It all really is dependent on how things go for us in the future with our revenues, with our expenses. You know, it's all based off our negotiated agreements. What are we going to put out there for salaries? How are our medical insurance benefit increases going to be? What kind of numbers is that going to impact? But that is probably the most important line. You can see exactly where you're at if you're dipping into reserves or not. So I've always said, bottom line's good, but that is really your telltale sign of how you're really doing at that point. Also, too, we do receive casino revenue, $110,000 for the year. That's how much. It's based off of how many kids you have in your county going to your school. Our general fund effective millage is slightly above the 20 mil floor. We're about at 21.3. If you're at the 20 mil floor, it allows for a little bit of growth, so we're just slightly higher than that. What does that mean? If we ever had to put on some kind of levy, we would probably benefit better from an emergency levy where you just put a dollar amount out there. Just a little something to think about if we'd ever have to do anything like that. Our tax collection rate is at 94%. Again, we are made whole because the state makes you be whole. Eventually, you're going to collect anything that's in arrears from people that haven't paid their taxes. You're eventually going to get those. Our income tax levy is a traditional continuous levy and has been in effect since 1995. Our revenues are 61% state and 39% local funding. And our expenses, salary and benefits combined, are 86% of the entire amount of expenses. So obviously, those are the greatest impact that we have when it comes to expenses. And the bottom line is, if you go clear to the bottom, clear to the end of the forecast, yep, we're in the black. We're not in the red, we're in the black. So that's a good thing.
Does that millage include the elementary school and the new high school, middle school?
That I'm talking general fund only.
Okay.
Yeah, just general fund, which impacts the forecast. Yeah. Total millage, we're at 30-some mills. I forget what the total is, but yeah, 30-some mills, including with bonds and things like that. That's all I have. I think we have good news. But between Chad and I, we're very conscientious of the decisions that are made and how it can affect the district. Does anyone have any questions?
Is that percentage of state paid, is it very, very much?
What do you
I mean, it's not constant what you're getting from the state all the time, right?
No, I mean, it is based off of numbers, but because our numbers are pretty stagnant with students, that's pretty constant.
Okay.
That number's pretty constant.
It doesn't change much then?
Not
for
much.
instance. Okay.
No. Yep. So you'll see that's part of what we're voting on tonight, because I have to submit this to the state before the end of May.
All right. Thanks, Jill. That's a lot of great information. Okay, we will move on. Next on the agenda is the superintendent report. But before we do that, I thought we'd take a couple minutes just to say, we all know what may have happened to Kendrick. We feel very appreciative of the services that he provided here for us throughout the years when he was filling in sometimes, but he was always a great gentleman to talk to. I've known him for a long time since coaching football. He was always around, so we got a great chance to talk to him, and I had an opportunity to talk to him a lot. So I just want to make sure that we extend out to the family our condolences, and we'll keep the family in our prayers. So I just want to make mention of that. Chad, I think it's all yours. The floor is yours, my friend.
I'm going to talk real quick here about some folks that are going to be retiring. And so wanted to list a few that are not here, but just give them a mention here. First of all, Amanda Dyer, she taught in Kenton City Schools for 19 years. She was at the middle school at Northwood, at the elementary school, and then at the middle school again, just for a little bit here right before she retired. Custodians that have served us well, Jeff Morrison. Some of you know him more as Stretch. He is retiring at the end of this year. He was at the middle school, but he's put in 24 years with Kenton City Schools. He was at Espy, Oakleaf here, but mainly at the middle school. And then Rod Gosley, he's retiring with 28 years Kenton City Schools, and he was in quite a few buildings. And then the last custodian that I wanted to mention was Betty Reed. She's retiring at the end of this year, 30 years with Kenton City Schools, and she was in almost every building. I started looking because she was in Northwood, Espy High School, Hardin Central, Westview, Hardin, the middle school, and Kenton Elementary School. So I think the only one that I didn't mention was East Crest, unless somebody else thought of one that I didn't, but I think she pretty much was at almost every building. So we're going to miss Betty, Jeff, and Rod, and obviously Amanda as well. But I now want to move to those that we have with us, and first person I want to talk about, I'll go up there and switch, I guess. Because these folks get and so will the others, they'll get a golden apple, but these folks are here tonight to be able to get theirs and take theirs with them. So first person I want to talk about just for a minute is Jerry Flowers. Jerry was 30 years maintenance for Kenton City Schools. Most everybody that knows Jerry knows there aren't too many things that he can't fix, and that's obviously what he does as a maintenance guy, but he always had a way of figuring stuff out, and sometimes I think there's, I don't know, a lot of different stories, so I won't embarrass him, but I'll just say there were sometimes it didn't work out as well as what he might have thought, but in the end it got fixed, and he had some really tough jobs and things that none of us would like to do at times, but daggone it, he did it. And so we appreciated him, loved him so much that we said, hey, after you're done, we're going to give you about what did we give you, 60 days off? Because we have to by law. And then I don't know if anybody's noticed, but he's back working for us again, just mowing, doing different things. He's basically what we need him, or we have asked him to do. So I just want to take a minute and say thank you to Jerry. So Jerry, come on up and get your golden apple.
We're glad you're back.
Yeah. And then the last person tonight that I want to recognize for 40 years at Kenton City Schools, and by the way, that's not 40 years total, because I think there was 2 years before coming to Kenton City Schools. So she had 42 total years of teaching, but 40 years here in Kenton City Schools is Miss Sharon Martin. She was taught Spanish for us for quite a while. A lot of stories here too. She had shared there were definitely moments where she wasn't sure if teaching was going to be her thing. She had told me that at one point she was on the way to get her uniform, I think, or pick up a uniform at Honda. That's going to be it, whatever. But in the end, I think even that story came back to kids that were kind of, willing to stand up for Miss Martin and take care of her. And just, I can tell you, having a son that is in her class and having a daughter that was in her class, favorite, and neither of them, she can tell you, were good at Spanish. Both of them were not. But they love Mrs. Martin, and they knew that she would be willing to be there any time, day or night, lunch, give up her lunch, whatever it took to take care of kids, even when they're not very good at Spanish. So that is going to be something that we're going to really miss because, like I said, it just didn't matter. She took care of all kids. And I can't thank her enough for all of what she's done for the kids in our district. And I actually want to have Jason come up because I think Jason was her student at one point and now is the principal.
And she was
And me too.
I'll let him say anything if he wants to. And I'll let him present the golden apple here.
How weird is that?
Well, I didn't know I was going to speak tonight, but I will say a few things, though. I'll reiterate what Mr. Thrush said, that the commitment that Mrs. Martin has had towards our kids is unfathomable.
Yep.
So you just can't imagine what she does, and the time she spends before school and after school with our kids, and time she gives up. It's definitely not about the paycheck, I can guarantee you that. It's more about our kids. And with that said, she deserves this wholeheartedly for what she's done for our school district. So. I was one of her students, and she did kick me out of class one time. Throw that out there.
That's funny.
My class was not well behaved either. I didn't get kicked out, but I got told to sit down a few times. And she assigned me my name, Ricardo. I remember it to this day. Your name's gonna be. I'm like, all right.
His was Juan.
Good memories.
Called me that my first few years.
So thank you for your service, both of you. Thank you so much.
And now's a good time if you're interested to, you don't have to stay for the rest of the board meeting, you're welcome to, but if you want to go, you can, so.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Item 8, board committee reports. First one up, finance facilities. I can never say that word.
We just met tonight, honestly, and the little sheet that I given you, Doug, because you were thinking, hey, maybe I could use that for the church or something like that, for the permanent improvement
Oh, yeah.
type thing. Yeah, we went over that. We just kind of were eyeballing what could happen in the next 20 years. And, you know, as some have stated, by 2042, so we might not be around anyway, but you know, with Doug possibly retiring at some point in time, I said we really need to kind of hone in where he's at, because he's a walking book of knowledge and no one knows what he's got in his head. So I said, let's put some things on paper. So we went from anywhere from the mechanics of the building to the roofing to the asphalt to equipment for custodians to athletics. So we had a little bit of everything that we were discussing. And if things were to come to fruition, like possibly it could, we're looking at, you know, maybe $800,000 in the next 20 years that we would have to spend to maintain the buildings. That doesn't include the new one, because that hasn't even happened, and it doesn't include anything that's old, because they're going away anyway. So you're really looking at the elementary building, and then potentially adding in some things when the new buildings do come on board. So it's just something to think about. We've got years and timelines and descriptions of what it could potentially be. So it shouldn't be a surprise to any of us if something does happen, like a boiler goes down. Okay, we kind of planned for it, like this is where we're at. So those are the types of things that we did talk about.
I mean, if you talk about $800,000 over 20 years, you're only talking $40,000 a year.
Year, right.
It's not like what it used to be when you was spending 4 times that a year on windows or roofs or so.
Right. I mean, we talked about the roof at the elementary. I mean, that's a standing seam roof. It should be good for at least 50 years, and that was built in 2014. So, you know,
That's untouchable for a long time. But we did talk about some other things that could be potentially on down the road, that could happen. So that was pretty much it on that.
Okay, thank you. Extracurricular.
I guess that's me. Let me give the credit to Chad, because he actually took the notes on his computer typing the whole time. He had to tell him to slow down every once in a while. So anyway, first up is vocal music. Dimensions are going to Sandusky to do a performance, and then go to Cedar Point. It's kind of a reward thing for them. Cabaret is May 20th through the 22nd. They're going to be building a stage this week, including lighting. Top 20 performers, along with the individual group performances. And then they're going to have auditions for Dimensions, and Top 20 will take place after the Cabaret. They've got their musical chosen for next year to perform. He would not tell us what that is, because they keep that a secret until Cabaret. And they're excited about hiring the new vocal music teacher, because he doesn't want to do both jobs. So, instrumental music, Bandorama. This was held last Thursday. Grades 4 through 12 participating. So they did a really great job. They got the performance calendar for next year's completed. Band camp dates are starting July 1st. March 24th, they had a middle school solo and ensemble competition. Band council of students has been assembled to help make decisions and actually lead presentations during events. They're going to be participating in graduation, Memorial Day parade, and they have a band trip to Cedar Point also. Athletics, most challenging spring between weather, transportation, and umpires. They're having trouble getting umpires, so they've been having to cancel games. It's a tough job. Gas, $5. It's kind of hard to get people to do that. So,
Yep.
they have 117 high school spring athletes, 39 middle school spring athletes. Middle school's only track. The rest of them are all club sports. And track, the track team won the Elgin Invite and Hardin County meet. Both teams, the districts are this Thursday, right? Tennis, several competitive male players, be back next year. Baseball started 7 sophomores on varsity this year, so they were really young. So the future is bright. Sectionals start this Wednesday, right? Softball started as many as 5 freshmen and sophomores this year. And sectional was last Friday, and I think they lost, right? 2-1. 2-1, yeah. It's competitive.
Yep.
So May 20th, involvement fair at Kennington Middle School. Summer information from high school coaches and advisors. The weight room is going to be expanded in the athletic building. We're actually going to knock that block wall out for that little room where the wrestlers used to be, and expand the weight room. They're going to do that the first week of June, I think. And then we're going to haul a block out of there, and then they can finish that up then. I guess that's it.
All right, lots
At least
going
that's
on.
all he typed.
Lots of info. One question I do have, cabaret tickets, are they online, or do you have to get them at the high school?
You can get them at the door, but they do sell the tables, and I don't think you can get the tables at the door. So if you want to get the tables, you got to do that online, and I believe it's on our website. Ryan, can you double check for me on that, just to make sure? But so online for sure, but you can also get them at the door.
Probably just like we get the sporting tickets for the sporting events, like basketball, football, that kind of stuff.
Yep, you got it.
Okay.
I think it's 7:30 p.m. Friday, Saturday, and then I think it's 2 on Sunday, 2 o'clock on Sunday.
All right, awesome. Good, thanks for the reports. Item 9, old business. Doesn't look like we have any old business there. We don't need to worry about that one, it looks like. Item 10. This one might be a long one if I remember right. Item 10, personnel items, new business. I won't read every line to you guys. We're just going to summarize a little bit. There are some agendas over there if you'd like to take one and look at them later. But looks like we've got just some approval of some substitute teaching some transfers, some custodian moving around, probably because we had a couple people retire, so we're having some move around there. Some teachers' contracts. This is actually, I think, part when we're rehiring from all the unhiring that we did the last meeting.
That's still
See
coming.
all those. Administrative contracts. Oh yeah, lots. Cafeteria help, custodial help, maintenance help, transportation. Summer help, summer staff. 10G is classified substitutes. Substitute teachers, 10H. We're just approving some medical leave, some resignations.
New hires.
A couple of new hires there, it looks like. And the list keeps going on and on.
Supplemental.
Supplemental contracts, coaches, that kind of stuff there. Continue with coaches. Okay.
All the way down to
All the way
10W.
to 10W, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Could I have a motion, please, for that?
Heidinger.
Heidinger, thank you. A second?
Dick.
Dick, okay, thank you. Any other discussion, any questions, anybody we need to highlight, Jad? I think we already probably took care of all most
There's
of
a lot
those.
there.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and have a vote, please.
Mr. Ludley?
Yes.
Mr. Carmine?
Yes.
Mr. Dick?
Yes.
Mr. Hensel?
Yes.
Mrs. Heidinger?
Yes.
Okay. 10X, approve Anthony Richardson as art teacher, with one-year contract. Could I have a motion to move forward with that one?
Ledley.
Ledley, thank you. Second?
Hansel.
Hensel, thank you. Any discussion? If not, we'll go ahead and have a vote.
I have to abstain from this one.
Right.
Okay, you'll abstain, okay, thanks.
Mr. Carmine?
Justin? Yes.
Mr. Dick abstains. Mr. Hensel?
Yes.
Mrs. Heidinger?
Yes.
Mr. Ludley?
Yes.
Okay, 10Y, approval of volunteers for the school year. Looks like football, cross-country, tennis. I think that's it, isn't it? Yeah, looks like. Let's go ahead and have a motion for that, please.
Heidinger.
Thanks, Tasha. Second?
Hansel.
Hensel, thank you. Let's go ahead and have a vote, please.
Mr. Dick?
Yes.
Mr. Hensel?
Yes.
Mrs. Heidinger?
Yes.
Mr. Ludley?
I have to abstain.
Okay,
Abstain,
and then
okay.
Mr. Carmine?
Yes. Item 11, 11A, this is a big one, right? Graduation list. We are approving the names of this year's graduates. 11B, looks like we've got some,
Yes.
oh, the ESC, we're just continuing an agreement with them, which I think is just a renewal of what we've had in the past. A couple of those. A lot of those, it looks like. And then we're approving a couple grants. Speakers, approve agreement between in compliance. There are a couple donations there at 11K that we're approving. On the back page now, I guess. Jill, one of these is probably the ones that you actually was
Yeah.
talking to us about. Is that the 11?
We are, yeah,
Oh,
just,
and 11M.
just making sure we have enough appropriated before the end of the year.
Okay. Of what you talked about, and then approved for the 5-year forecast, which is what you presented
Yep,
earlier
that's what I
to
presented,
us.
yep.
That's 11N. And some other contracts, it looks like.
Yep.
Renewal, some contracts. I'll move for a motion, please.
Ledley.
Ledley, thank you. A second.
Heidinger.
Thanks, Tasha. Any questions on that, guys, before we take a vote? Anything that, there was a lot on there. We need clarification on anything, or we all good? Okay. Nothing being said, we'll go ahead and take a vote.
Mr. Hensel?
Yes.
Mrs. Heidinger?
Yes.
Mr. Ludley?
Yes.
Mr. Carmine?
Yes.
Mr. Dick?
Yes.
Okay. That actually, we're going to go with item 12, adjournment. It is 7:34. The next regular Board of Education meeting will be held on June 20th, 2022 at 7 p.m. in this building. Thanks, everyone, for coming tonight.